What's up, ladies and gentlemen? There's a notification jumping up. So let's have a good class. I've done this about 3 times. I have so much knowledge that I could give you and the reasons, but I don't want to bore you. But if I bore you, then you don't want to learn anyway because you're getting out of the video. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible and make it make sense, okay? So, a lot of you run 10 gauge wire, right? 10 feet long, which is 20 feet of wire. That's what you buy in a kit that I've seen, okay? So let's talk about that. So I ran your numbers. I got the proof all here. Like I always say, I always show you guys the proof. I want you to understand, because somebody just saying it, I always try to show the proof so it clicks, right? So the way you guys are running it at, say, 12.8 at the battery, 24 amps, which is the Remco, right? Wire length is 20 feet, which is 10 and 10. For the calculator to put 10 gauge wire, I had to change the percentage drop to 5%. So, just so you guys can see that. Now, I'm calling it 12.8. I took one of the voltage off the 13.8 because most of you guys don't ever see 13.8. You see 12.8. So I'm trying to make it make sense. So 12.8 with 5% drop. Let's talk about the 5% drop. Why is that 5% drop crucial? Why does Eddie complain about that? Because here's what you're doing. You spend all that amazing money on an amazing system, and you shortcut yourself on the major part of your system, which is the pump. If the pump never gets the power, it's never going to produce what it was made to produce, right? So at 12.8 volts at the battery, 24, 10 and 10, 5% drop, because that's the only thing I could approve on the 10 gauge. The pump only sees 12.32. So let's talk about that. So you're starting at 12.8 at the battery, and your pump's only seeing 12.32. That's 5%. That's a lot of time, guys. Well, let's break it down even further. That 0.3 is all you have is good power now. Even though your battery is going to read over 12 volts, your pump's going to go under 12 volts, and now you're going to run into problems, and you're going to create more heat. You're going to burn up relays, and this is how stuff happens. So by not feeding the pump what it's asking for, and when you use the skinny wire, like I tell you guys, it's like drinking a milkshake with a coffee straw. That's what you're making the pump do, trying to get power to the pump. It's not just a piece of wire. It's made for a reason, and that's why they have all different gauges. So with this build, if you're running 10 and 10, you're at a 5% drop, and your pump's only seeing 12.32. So if we want to keep that distance, right, and make it right, because that's where you need it, 10 feet away. So now we have to change. We got 12.8 at the voltage at the battery. We have 24 at the amperage. Now we change the wiring. We have the wiring at 20 feet, but we change the voltage drop to 1% because that's what we want. It's telling me that we would have to run 4 gauge wire to get a 1% drop, right? And the pump would see, instead of 12.8, the pump would see 12.6. See the difference? See how much the pump recovers in voltage? And when that pump sees that much voltage, it's going to produce more, right? So that was 4 gauge. It says right there. So then, why did I build my kits the way I built them? Because I ran all the numbers, And I believe 6 gauge was like the perfect number. Keep everything close, you know, and your numbers will go way up, you know. So, and I'm going to show you. So then, my kit's a 6 gauge kit, all tinted marine, same as I talked about yesterday. So if you're at 12.8 volts, 24, but we go to 10, okay? We got 10 right there, which is 5 feet total, right? 5 and 5. 1% drop. It tells you you need 6 gauge to build it. That's why I'm at 6 gauge, right? So that shows you you're getting a 1% drop on this kit with this asking amp, right? So now you have the same wire, and you started with an Everflow 17. You went to a Remco. Then you wanted to go to a 24 volt pump, right? And you said, well, does your kit work on 24 volts? Why, yes, this kit works on 12, 24, and more, but let's keep it simple for everybody else. 12 and 24, right? Well, you want to run, say, the Super Pump. Now, you're buying the Super Pump or Super 8, whatever it is, right? 24 volts, 50 amps is what it acts as for. 10 feet, which is my kit, 5 and 5, like I always tell you, right? 1% drop, acting for 6 gauge, see? So if you have 24 volts at the battery, with my 6 gauge kit, you'll have 23.8025 at the pump. You see the difference between the 10 gauge, 10 feet of wire, where you're getting 12.8 and you're only getting 12.3 at the pump? That's bad building, guys. You see when you change your numbers and you change stuff to the right percentage drop and so on and so forth? That's why I built them in 6 gauge for you. I didn't want you to have to buy wire. I believe when you install wire, you should install it once, just like a car. You shouldn't have to keep rebuilding. You never build amp to amp. If you build amp to amp, you put a lot of stress on the system. Why I use marine switches. They're rated for 200 amps, right? You have the breaker. The bus bars are rated for over 150 amps. So everything I use is not like some of the builds out here where you're using 20, 30, 40 amp toggle switches. You have to remember the way we wash out here is totally different. We change these pumps. We are coming on and off the gun, on and off the gun. It creates surges. It creates spikes in the system. I mean, you have to understand there's a big difference between a trigger gun and a ball valve gun. And the guys that have the ball valve, you'll see them. They're out here doing this. Why? They have no problems. But the minute you start putting a trigger gun, a soft wash gun, on a pump, you will start to see problems. Because you're now asking that pump to charge up, right? When you come off the gun. Then when you surge it, when you pull the trigger. Then if you come right off the gun again, then you get on it again. It tells you in the handbook, guys, no more than 4 to 6 times a minute. Think about that. So if you're on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, that's like cycling the pump. Everything overheats. And when you use that thin 10 gauge, that's when you guys go under 12 volts. You start burning stuff up. Same as I talked about with the motors yesterday. If a motor is asking you for 100 amps to turn over, you can't use 50, 60 amp wire. You have to use 100 amp plus wire. Why? Because from the battery to the engine, that's what the engine is asking for when it turns the key. So you have to put the wire on the battery to the machine, else the machine's going to drag. You're going to burn up starters. I mean, you just can't cheat on the electric side, or you're going to spend a lot of money on recovery. And that's why a lot of people get pissed off with the 12 volt, because there's a lot of do's and don'ts. But there's a lot of do's and don'ts on the P40. You got to hold the trigger when you start it. You got to get on and off the gun like if you're on an old school pressure washer, so it doesn't overheat. Every machine has don't do this to it, or this is going to happen. So you have to treat every machine with respect. So this is what I'm trying to teach you. If you get the electrical side down, I promise you, 90% of your problems on the electrical side will go away. If you run the numbers, just like I showed you, and it's been on the website for many, it's been on all my websites for years. I mean, I show you the proof. I mean, I don't know what, the only thing I could do to make it better is to do it for you. And I'm not doing that. Them days are over. I'll help you if you're local, you come over. You're doing the work. I'll do stuff that you don't know how to do, and I'll show you how to do it. But I'm not doing it. I'm not here for that. I got other personal stuff that I got to do, unless you want to pay me hourly, but I'm not even trying to do that. This is for me to pass my knowledge. It's not about the money. It's about what I see and what we need to get better at. And as soon as you fix this problem out here, all the problems will go away. I promise you. So if you're into audio, right? We used to compete back in the day at SPL, Daytona Spring Break Nationals. We competed at NOPE in Atlanta, okay? So I've been doing this, like I told you guys, for a long time. When we ran wire, you guys think we would be crazy running double zero wire, double out zero to these amplifiers. Because when we're pulling and we're competing, we need every voltage that we could get from them batteries to that amplifier to deliver what I need to make the amps work correctly and the speakers and everything to work as a system, right? So if you cheat yourself, guys, you're just gonna pay the piper.